about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know.
That was the great sounds of Watson with Outside on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ BlueZ is in the building. EZ BlueZ, you are better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today on Behind the Brand?
Ladies and gentlemen, when you were growing up, there was always that one thing you could connect to. All right, the art of going to the comic book shop to escape all of the terrors of middle school, all of the hatred of high school. You had your sanctuary. It was the comic book shop. These stories helped grow you, helped define who you were, and helped give you something to relate to. It is the spark, that creative genius that has been able to carry us through, sometimes through these very struggles today. We now see a major market boom for comic ideas. But again, just like with music, just like with any other type of artistic format, when you get to the underground, that's where the real nugget of beauty is. And for that, I want you to put your hands together, not if you're driving. If you're driving, please keep your hands at 10 and 2 because we don't want any accidents. But mentally, you can put your hands together for the amazing art by Quinton Thomas and his business manager, Brian. Thank you guys so much for being here. It is an honor and a privilege.
Thanks for having us. Thank you. That was a heck of a promo there.
Thank you.
You wear the
tries,
Jay White
man.
shirt. Good promo.
You know.
He tries his best. It's organic. It's what he does. I keep on telling him he should get paid for a little bit, but you know, he keeps on contemplating on that. But it's a back and forth thing. But
someone tell me how to sign up for Cameo. That's all I'm asking.
I'll hook you up later.
Word, we'll talk. We'll have conversations.
But you know, guys, how'd you guys collab and just make this great artwork for your fan base? Just please tell me just a little bit about your story. Go right ahead.
Well, I guess just like story from like, I guess early as I can. Well, tell them how you got started. How I got started.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bumbling through this already. It's gonna be a great one. Well, how I got started. I mean, just like I'd say I kind of started. Well, I like to say things. I started things in reverse. I started like a huge weeb. I was watching Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon as a kid, and then I just like went ahead. I was like, okay, I want to see if I could draw this, and just like since I was like 5 or 6 years old, and it just never ended, basically. Mm-hmm. And so I guess fast forward to 2017 when I started, doing mostly art. I started I took a couple breaks and I jumped back in it, but then started hitting conventions, like the larger ones, like like New York Comic Con, et cetera, last year. Which was a bit of a mess. I was doing it by myself. And so actually, funny enough, like New York Comic Con last year, I had a table, an artist alley. It was like in a really good spot. And then this gentleman, Brian, stopped by and I met him. He bought a bunch of my prints. Got to know him, pretty cool guy. And then the following month after that, it was November, Anime NYC, same story. He stopped by the booth, bought some things, we chatted a little bit more, became friends, more friends, and then just, I don't know, just asked him to help a couple of different conventions, and then, kind of like spiral from there. And then fast forward to now, I mean, we're business partners, he's a business manager, and things are getting a little bit more organized this year. Do you want to say anything? Yeah, I mean, more or less, for the most part, just how he said, I swore I wasn't going to spend money on art that day and came down the escalator into Artist Alley, which is a bad idea to do if you're not going to spend money on art.
That is true. That is true.
One of the first things I saw was his Boondocks, My Hero Academia mashup, like staring me dead in the face, like real big and huge. That's like a Reese's peanut butter cup. You put my two favorite things together. I got to go check it out. So I walked over, picked that up, some other stuff, and just, from there, followed each other on socials, brought friends by at Anime NYC. They picked some stuff up, and then just from keeping in contact, things went from there. I saw a position where I was home, not doing much, had lost my
regular 9 to 5 lousy office job that I didn't want to be in.
Right.
And trying to figure out where to go from there, and saw somebody that had great talent, but by his own admission was very disorganized and didn't really have the people around him to help him get where he needed to be. And that's kind of where I came in. 30 plus almost years of marketing, sales, management, logistics experience that I never got to use for anything I cared about, only for products that they were all right, but they weren't my product and they weren't something that was in this nerd realm. And now I get to do something on a daily basis where even if we're going through rough times, we're going through rough times with something that is easy to get behind and is easy to be enthusiastic about, and we're working for ourselves. There is no person that can turn around and say, hey, you're out of here. We're not a number. We're our own number. And,
I like that a lot. I really do.
Our own line. Yeah.
Easy. Your fingers up. Go right ahead, brother. I already know what you're about to say.
I absolutely love how organically you were able to say this, because this is something that we talk about on the show a lot, and something that we really truly focus on, especially with the creatives that come on the show and are establishing their brands creatively. The organization and the business aspect of it and the marketing aspect of it is almost, if not a little bit more important than the content. But when you can sit there and have a phenomenal product and something that you believe in with your full heart and soul, and you put that out there, and it's so difficult for us as creatives to do that because these are our children. It's like, what child do you want to endorse more to go out into the world? I want them all to go live and be happy, So it's so difficult to try to do that. That's why it's so important to have a phenomenal business mind and a marketing mind with you. And this partnership is honestly what I think a lot of people need to push forward towards, because we can get kind of flighty and all over the place as creatives. So thank you so much for actually giving a light into that. And what is it like in those business meetings like that you guys have, where you're coming at it from a creative point of view and you're coming at it from a marketing point of view? Can we leap into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, and just to touch on what you said, you're absolutely right, because a lot of people bought slap chops and ShamWows, and did anybody really need those things? Not really, but they bought them. But yeah, I mean, business meetings. I mean, our meetings are not formal by any stretch of the imagination. It's probably Quinton sitting on one couch and me sitting on another couch in my living room watching anime or something and saying like, "Hey, all right, so this piece of art, what are we going to do with this? Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's put out hoodies. Let's put, and it's a back and forth process of just trying to get the designs right, figuring out how to market each thing, finding the right manufacturers for all the things that we want to put out, because literally where he was at when we got together was he had his art prints. And the majority of what was being sold were the art prints, other than drop shipping maybe some shirts off of third-party sites. So since then, we got together and we got found us a better shirt manufacturer, somebody who charges a lot more, but he's putting out better product, and we get to see it before it gets in everybody's hands, so they're not getting jumped. Okay. And then now we're putting out our first limited edition pin next month. We already started taking pre-orders on the website for that. We've got some other things in the works, tote bags that we're in the process of getting the right designs on. Charms, keychains, things like that are coming. It's just a process now of building up inventory and getting other stuff, so that if somebody comes to our booth, they're not like, oh, well, that's nice. You have, 13 by 19 art prints, but I got nowhere to put these things. I love your art, but do you have it on anything else? So now it's all about spreading out and putting out more products. We're in that phase now.
I see that. Quinton, how important is representation to you when it comes to your artwork? Because I see you do a lot of stuff just with the Boondocks and just different other stories, just reflecting African Americans, and which I really love about your artwork.
It's really, really important. I mean, like sometimes when I like do like, well, I guess sometimes when I'm like doing stuff, sometimes that doesn't really like show. Like if there's something like really popular, I'm like, okay, I really want to draw this, you know, like, so like not. But like I'm planning on incorporating more of just like the representation of like a lot of different like cultures, and just like skin tones into a bunch of like my future pieces. Not just fan art. I do a bunch of original stuff as well. And I mean, just like representation is, I mean, it's really important to me. That's why, I mean, that's why like eventually, I mean, because I'm slowly teaching myself animation and a bunch of other things. And I mean, like, there are a handful of just like Black anime out there, or just like Black anime out there. But I mean, like, hopefully one day I'll make something with like a full cast of like people of color. But as for right now, like with the art, oh yeah, it's really, really important. And especially, like, I mean, you'll get like little like, you'll get a few things that kind of like put things in like perspective for you, like the Black Panther film a few years back, where like you would see how like all of like the kids were like looking at the poster going, oh yeah, that's me, that's me, that's me. And it's just like, you know, you don't really get that much. Also, another perfect example is The Little Mermaid this year with like Halle Bailey. And like, I remember just like crying looking at a bunch of just like reaction videos from like, you know, like parents recording their kids and how they're just like emotional about like, oh, hey, she looks like me. She looks like me. I just want that a lot more going forward. So I mean, it's gonna be a lot more of me crying, but hey.
We've had a lot of touching moments at the booth.
Oh yeah,
I believe it.
Kids that come up like in Chicago. I was there with my nephew running the booth. He was in Miami at that one. And there was a little girl in a Shinobu from Demon Slayer cosplay, and he has a Shinobu piece with the regular Shinobu, and he's got it with her as a woman of color. And the little girl was walking by, and she was Black, Dominican. I'm not sure which, but she was darker skinned. And she immediately, I said, "Hey, take a look at this. I want to show you something." And I turned to the print, and her eyes lit up. She put her hands over her face. She came over to the table, and she's just looking at it. And she goes, "Daddy, it's me, it's me." And already he goes, "Yeah, you already know you can have it, you know, and this and that." And he looks at me. That was a good one, man. He was like, and it's like, "What else you got here? Because I gotta buy some other stuff now too." But like, she was over the moon, and we've had that just with that piece. Right. Several times, let alone his other stuff, because his original artwork, some of it, it's so it's just you could tell there's emotion behind the work. It's more than just fan art. There's a lot more there to it, and when people see it, they get touched by it, you know. And it's a great thing to see, because you don't get a lot of that at conventions.
I have a handful of like these original pieces that I'm doing with like these like women of color that like have like all these like different just like natural just like hairstyles, and like the amount of time during a convention. I mean, like normally the fan art stuff sells a lot, you know, like more because it's the stuff that people already recognize and stuff that they're familiar with and they love. But then when they see like this, they're like, oh, that looks like such and such. That looks like somebody I know. That's somebody I know. They would love this. And like, so just, God, I love getting that.
Yeah, very good. At Anime NYC, what he was touching on before, when he said when I came to the booth and I had brought my friend by, it was because when I first saw his art, some of the pieces in there, and he can vouch for this, it looks like her. Like from the back, her hair, everything. And I was like, you got to come with me, come see this guy's stuff. And of course, gravitated right towards that. She was like, oh yeah, I need this. And because I knew ahead of time. And it's like every other booth in there, you're not getting that. You're not getting that. No. It's totally different. He has such a variety of stuff from the comic book stuff to the anime stuff to the original works. I said to him long before we were in business together. And, you know, I always told him, I said, look, I'm not blowing smoke at you just because I like your stuff. Seriously, like from being from the other side of going to these cons and shopping for art and looking at stuff, he has absolutely the broadest spectrum of stuff in his catalog, to the point where people come up and as they go through, they're like, wait, did you do all of this? And it's not from a, wow, you don't look talented enough to do all of this. It's that there's so many, I always say he's like ODB from Wu-Tang. There's no father to your style, you know, because he's got so many different, you know, it doesn't look like it's the same artist that did it, but yet, yes, he did all of that because he can do all those styles. So yeah, it's amazing.
Brian, how much respect you have just for the business in general? Because you start off as a fan from the booth. Now you're seeing everything from another side. What's going in your brain when it comes to this business now?
Well, I mean, just from like my dad was the reason I got into comics.
Okay.
I miss him dearly. He was the one that got me my first comic book when I was 6 years old. And or maybe younger than that. I don't even remember. But remember it was like G.I. Joe #2 or 3 or something like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
wow,
way back. I'm old, man. I'm old. I'm 48. I was very much I sold my whole collection. I was out of this whole thing. I went through a divorce, and I was kind of at home, just kind of bummed out all the time. And one of my good friends invited me to go to New York Comic Con in 2015. And I said, you know, you're not even that much into this stuff. He was like, you need to get out the house, come, you know. So we went, and that reignited my entire passion for all of this. Like I was still into anime, I was into comics, all that stuff, but I was watching at home. I wasn't about going to cons. I wasn't about cosplaying or any of this stuff. And I went, and I had such a great time that one day, immediately midday, he looks at me and goes, next year, we're going all 4 days. And I was like, you know what? Yes, we are. And I've been going ever since. And it was through that. And that was the only con I went to, that and Anime NYC, because they're right there. We're in Jersey.
Yeah.
Because I went to that and met this guy, it turned into this whole other thing. And I mean, like, I had opportunities before to work for the business. I got offered a job to be an artist and writer for Extreme Studios back in the day, Rob Liefeld brand with and I didn't, because it meant relocating at the age of 21 to Anaheim, California. My girlfriend threatened to split up with me at the time. That probably would have been a good thing. I should have. And also my dad was quite ill. So really the major decision was I didn't want to leave with him in that shape. So I passed on it. And kind of regretted it ever since, because my whole thing was I wanted to get my foot in the door to get my friends in.
I got you.
And because they were way better artists than me. I was a good writer, was a good colorist, but I wasn't the greatest at art. And I wanted to get in there and bring them in as artists. And not having that happen, I really thought that was it. Like I kind of stopped drawing, I stopped writing, I had closed the book on that. I thought like, well, you don't get many opportunities like that, and I squandered it. So being back here, being at this level where we're doing this, and there's another brand that hopefully we're launching come end of the year, once the trademark comes in, that's gonna encompass his art and so much more. And a major focus of it is going to be taking creators that are marginalized, whether it be minorities, LGBT community, other independent writers and artists that are people that are out there that are trying to get the word out about their stuff, and giving them a bigger platform to reach more people. Because while I might not be able to, with nerve damage and things, draw the way I used to, or even do some of the things I used to, I want to make sure other people can get up to that level and be in front of people and have their stuff out there. I still create a lot of stuff. I help design a lot of our shirts and stuff like that with this guy, but like, I know what my limitations are.
Right.
But to be able to be part of the business and this immersed in it and see all these different conventions and meet some of the people that I've met in the past few months has just been surreal.
Yeah.
It's weird. I told him one time, I forget what con we were at. I think it might have been in DC at Awesome Con, where I was walking around, and as I was walking, it just kind of hit me where I'm like, all right, this is what I'm doing now on a regular basis. And I got a little emotional and teared up, where I was like, I never thought I'd go to a couple of these things in a year, let alone be at one every week and being surrounded by people that love this same stuff. When, you know, when you grew up my age, you got bullied for liking this stuff. You know,
I remember. You are so right. You are so right. You,
dude,
oh
now
my God, nailed it. Yeah.
Now it's like, if you didn't see the new Marvel movie, you get clowned.
Exactly.
Like, oh, you reading comic books? We're beating you up at recess. You know, it's a whole 180 now. You know, it's totally different.
It's like the person who bullied you for liking like anime and manga is now like 900 chapters in to like One Piece, and it's just like, what?
Yeah, where'd this happen? Oh, can I get that back? Can I beat you up now to get you back? Is that fair? Like, how does this work?
Now, and you can't even beat them like in trivia anymore either, because they're just as good now as you are. You're like, yeah, well, I know this. And he was wearing a yellow hat during this episode. He's like, yeah, but he was also wearing the white scarf too. You're like, you son of a gun.
Yeah.
He'd be like, how dare you?
Yeah, word. How dare you be good at this now? This was my thing. This was you had football. You could run. How do you went to the comic book shop? You know? But that's the thing that I love about your story in particular, Brian, is, you know, you talk about, you know, you were in it for a little while when you kind of needed it type of thing, that giving tree type of aspect, right? And then you sold off your because real life got in the way, and, you know, you sold off your collection. And then when you needed it again, you know, it was no longer that tree that provided you the shade. It became the stump that you got to sit on. And I think that is one of the most beautiful things about cons and con culture, is these are places where you are just surrounded by unconditional support and love, you know, no matter. And look, I've been to a couple of cons where there's weird things that happen, but we don't talk about those weird things ever. We sign the NDA and we go about our day. You know what I mean? But, you know, there's also just, no matter what, you know, no matter whether you spent $5,000 on your cosplay costume and it's like a full automated and you can transform as Optimus Prime, or, you know, you're rocking just the beat up jeans that your uncle had and you've become this other character. There's so much love for you as a human being, as you living in this creative spirit. Do you think that's kind of how this new explosion has happened, and why it is so in the forefront of pop culture now?
At forefront of pop culture on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ BlueZ is in the building. We got the great people from Art by Quinton, if I can barely speak right here, I'm behind the brand. Brian, go ahead with the answer if you can barely think, because I totally just stopped that whole train of thought.
No, all good,
Give me
man.
time to think.
I mean, I'll be honest. I think a lot of this was, you know, let's be real. It was the MCU movies. The MCU movies, between that and things like Perfect Storm of something like Walking Dead becoming the phenomenon that it was. And those are like the gateway drugs, you know, and then just all the parents from my generation that were, you know, getting fan sub bootlegs of whether it be Dragon Ball or whatever it was that they were picking up, because that's what I literally had to do. I had to buy anime. I had the whole Rurouni Kenshin, the whole thing on VHS from a place in New York City called Games and James that used to be around off of Broadway years ago. And they were fan subs on VHS. And if you're somebody like me, I don't have kids, but all my friends that have kids that were these otaku growing up and showed it to their kids, those kids are the ones that are driving all of this now. Like, you go to a convention, it's all these 20-year-olds, teenagers and stuff, and then you see them passing it down to the kids, and it's just, it's becoming stronger and stronger and stronger, and to where it's such a mainstream thing now, where you've got movies like the Jujutsu Kaisen movie, the Demon Slayer movie, the Dragon Ball movie, doing numbers at the box office over here. Never mind what they're doing in Japan, but over here, they're doing way better than movies with A-list actors in them, because the geek culture stuff is just taking over now, because perfect storm of all the stuff I mentioned, and then people absolutely desperately needing an escape from reality. Because I don't think things, you know, not to be a downer, but things in the world between the climate, stuff like the orange-haired guy that was in office, and a bunch of other things going on, have just made such a grim, real reality picture out there that people need these escapes. And what better way to escape than to get lost in a, you know, 1,000 episode anime, or a show that has 8 seasons that you can stream that, you know, is about something sadder like zombies, to make you feel better about your own life position.
I was gonna say everyone gets to escape except for Attack on Titan fans. That's the most recent season. You get thrown into real world situations, like real world problems there, and it's like, oh God, like every episode is devastating. This is like real life, cool.
Quinton, this comes to mind with all this amazing artwork that you display to your audience. Where do these ideas come from? Do you just come off the cuff? Would you just pick up a pen and they just appear, or you have writer's block when it comes to this? Tell me about the process when you combine all these worlds into one when it comes to your the work that you do.
Well, whatever, and like the answer I'm going to give you is just like let's throw in like a healthy dose of procrastination in whatever I give you. Okay. But I guess where like ideas come from, I mean, like everywhere. Like it's just it's so weird. Like they're like, I guess like it like comes and goes in waves. They're like times where I'm just like relentlessly creative, where like I can like pull ideas from just like a random conversation that someone has, or just like pull ideas from just like a little like image that I would see online, and I see something like way in the back. I'm like, ooh, that's cool. Let me expand on that. Or just like, I don't know, just like watch a bunch of anime, watch a bunch of just like, I mean, like watch a bunch of comic book shows. I'm starting to read some comics. I'm very much with the ADHD. So I am
as all of us.
Yeah, I mean, like ideas are just like constant. Like just like I'll be like browsing images and I'll see something like a crossover or something. I'm like, oh, it'd be cool if I crossed over that with something else. So that, oh, okay, and then I'll get like the wheels turning, and that's the reason why I have like 300 plus work in progress pieces right now. So I mean, like the ideas come from everywhere. I mean, just like, especially just like with the whole diversity thing, you know, I'll see something, I'm like, okay, I'll have an idea for like, you know, I'm stumbling over words now. No. I'll see something, I'm like, okay, cool, it'll be cool. Someone did like, you know, like a version of that like, you know, like represents like other, you know, just like cultures. And then like what I'll do is I'll just like Google that to see if somebody's done it. And if they've done it, I'll do something like different. Or like if like with the Boondocks My Hero Academia thing, I remember I was watching like, well, an episode of Boondocks, and I switched over to an episode of just like My Hero Academia because for some reason I thought I just wanted to watch one of them together. And I was like, ooh, I don't think I've seen a mashup of this. And I just Googled some stuff and I was like, that seems like it'd be obvious, but okay, I guess I'll do it. And so I started with one character and the internet just screamed at me, and so I did like, I don't know, 10. But yeah, ideas come from everywhere. I can't really turn it off. Sometimes I wish I can, but can't.
Have fans ever just spark some light and just giving you just any like content to create? If you get suggestions from some of your, you know, people who love you?
That is a constant. Awesome. Like just every convention, I have like a list. Someone will say something, like, oh, it'd be cool if we did that. I'm like, hold up. And I'll just get my notes out. Just like something. I'm like, oh my God, that was a great idea.
There's time where like sometimes it's just from stuff that happens at conventions too. Like we don't have it here. I should probably have one to hold up, but we were in DC, and there was I don't know if you guys are familiar with the show Invincible, but
yes, very, very familiar.
There was an Omni-Man cosplayer that was, the guy's about 6'8". You can't miss this guy. He was massive, and he walks by, and we kind of have like a little thing where like if we see there's one person at a convention that just like blows us away, where if we have an piece of art that is their cosplay or whatever, maybe we'll give them a free print. And this guy walked by, and I was like, Quinton, this guy, and he was like, yeah. And we ran him down, we gave him the print, and we took pictures. And then I got back to the booth and I started throwing it up on Instagram. And as I was putting it up on Instagram, I just hashtagged straight out of Viltrum, because that's the planet, you know, that Omni-Man's from in the show. And then I looked at it, I go, hold on a second, I just had a really good t-shirt idea. and I showed him, and he was like, oh, write that down. And I was like, yeah, I got it. So then we not only did that, we did the one design, and then we both had like different slight ideas in mind. I was like, let's do both of them. So we did both. And the one, we did it as a limited edition where it's in black and white, and it almost looks like he's coming, like the satellite is seeing him, and it's like the last thing you see before, you know, kaput. And then on the back, it's got it like the band, like a tour, like straight out of Viltrum tour, summer 2022, and it's got featuring the tracks, and it's got all the terrible things that he says on the show that are like, you know, one-liners that people, and, you know, I told him, I said, I got this idea. I said, I think this is going to take off, but we'll just put it on the one shirt because I don't know how people are going to go for the, you know, some people don't like writing on the back. For a black and white shirt, the response that we've gotten to this thing is ridiculous. When people come up to the table and start reading the stuff, they're like, oh my God, oh, that's ridiculous. That's hilarious. And it's just, it was all from this guy walking by, you know, and it just, that thing popped in my head for whatever reason. And then now we got the product. And that happens more often than you would think. It happens more times than he can get stuff drawn, because that process takes a while. And if we could just put thought to paper, forget about it. Oh my God.
Be done.
So much stuff in the pipeline. It's crazy.
I believe it. Easy. Your fingers up. Go ahead, brother.
Well, no, I love, first of all, the other project that we can't talk about yet because the trademarks haven't come through, but, you know, that you want to highlight, you know, marginalized artists and marginalized communities. But that also brings, you know, with all this new light we have to, you know, geek culture and all this praise and stuff, we also breathe in this incredible toxicity. And how do you guys, especially an artist who challenges the norm, you know, how do you guys navigate that toxic fandom? And, you know, look, I've yelled at about 19 to 35,000 people on TikTok, you know, crying that the Little Mermaid is now being represented properly. And, you know, so how do you do that? And especially, you know, me being me, it's a little bit easier for someone like me to not navigate that aspect. And how do you do it?
Well, I mean, it's funny that you said that. And I'll put it this way. I'll let the cat out of the bag a little bit for you guys on this interview. Because the Instagram account is up. So, and I'm going to start posting from it. But it took me a long time to find a name for this thing, because the name that I used, and it's a group that's on Facebook right now called the Geek Hub, because originally that's what it was to bring all people together of different walks of life that are into this nerd stuff.
Yeah.
And that name was out there and used by a lot of tech support places apparently. So I ditched that.
Big squad.
And I was trying to find something else. It was very funny what you just said about the toxicity. And the name of the brand that I'm actually putting out actually speaks directly to that. It's actually called Non-Toxic Nerd Culture. And the whole idea is to keep all that junk, all the racism, homophobia, you know, bad identity politics and things like harassment, which a lot of cosplayers get, things like that.
All the time, yeah.
You know, any type of sexism, keep all that stuff out. Like it's going to be an all-inclusive community for people who want to be all-inclusive towards other people. If you're going to sit there and be up in arms about who got cast for the Little Mermaid, or pick on a cosplayer and say that they shouldn't be cosplaying something because of their weight or what ethnicity they are, things like that, this brand and this group is not for you. It is for the people who want to discuss this stuff and have a community where they feel accepted and loved by everybody else and are able to talk in a mostly spoiler-free environment about all the shows, all the comics, all the anime, all the things that they love and feel accepted. And that's in addition to boosting up other creatives that are in this space. That's what that brand is going to be all about. It's going to be about creating a safe space for people that want to discuss all these things in a place where they feel welcome to do so.
And well, that's definitely going to be a thing that's going to happen. As for just right now and how navigating just with, well, at least for myself personally, because I mean, I am a member of the LGBTQIA community. So Alphabet Mafia, although I'm not really as presenting, but also, I mean, I don't know if you can tell by the shade of my skin, I am a black man, if you will.
That's a fact.
I don't know. Legend says I'm a black man. I don't know. But also just I mean, I guess I'm in I guess because a lot of I mean, there's definitely, you know, like those comments that like show up on the feed, you know, like from like toxic people who just like, he's like, oh yeah, this person isn't black or this isn't supposed to be black. I mean, like, I guess like the way it affects everyone differently. And to be honest, like when I was first starting to do art, when I was like kind of like shy about getting like criticism about anything or like even putting myself out there, you know, I get those and they hit me hard, and I just sit there and be like, why would this person do this? As opposed to now, if I'm like some years in, a little more seasoned, if you will. Like, I mean, like me with my cynical sense of humor, I don't even know where that sense of humor came from. I'm just like, oh, okay. So, well, actually a good example, there was, I think it was on Tumblr, which weirdly enough, I occasionally still post the, like just like the image or two on Tumblr. I forget that it's still around sometimes, but just like, I remember I posted the Sora and, well, actually the Kingdom Hearts Boondocks crossover. It was like with Sora with the Keyblade.
That's the one I got.
Oh, sorry.
That's the one I got. That's the one I got. The Sora one, yes. You both relayed. Yeah, that's what I have. Continue.
I remember like the first comment underneath that, what was the one that got like quite a few likes, and the first comment that was underneath like, Sora's not black, and I was like, oh, that's cute. So you decided to just type that, I mean, instead of doing what? I mean, just like a lot of the people who are doing this just like, I mean, like are like pissed off something about their own lives, trying to make somebody like feel bad or just like have nothing to do. And I'm just like, all right, dude, cool, what? So that's the way that I come at it, like just like now, or I'll come up with something just like stupid or just like witty or whatever and just like go about my day. But just like, I mean, like I said, I mean, like I'm not really the norm, I don't think, because I know there are some things where like people just like if I were like a like female presenting of any kind, like if I was like a woman or any kind, like just like sometimes they can get like it way worse. Like someone could just like not only put a comment, but they could just like go way in on like a bunch of like things, just like completely like harass, just like day in and day out. So I mean, like I guess I count myself lucky that I only get like the, you know, like the occasional comment here or there, but like I mean it hits everybody differently.
Right. What hit me differently, you were the first artist to get paid by Adult Swim.
Well, okay, so it was weird because like my mental health was not great that year. 2020 was rough.
Right. Yeah, it was rough.
In which I was the first person they paid to actually share a piece of like artwork on social media. Well, like at least that's what they tell me. I hope that's the case. I mean, you know, these companies sometimes they can just like, you know, just, they tell you something to kind of make you feel good.
Oh, good
it's like a smaller person, but like, yeah. Well, like I think it was like a few $100s. They had just like had me sign some things, and they said I could still like sell it because I was like, okay, good. I wasn't gonna stop. but like yeah, they like it paid me a couple $100s, and they shared it like everywhere, like on their social media. It was like Adult Swim, just like their like Twitter, Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. And actually, that's what made me have that post is what made me have to actually use Twitter. I was like, okay, so you're gonna make me have to do this, right? They got like 200 something, like 1,000 likes. Let me just jump on this.
Well, you got to. You got to.
Yeah, but like, yeah, it was definitely a surreal situation. I mean, like sometimes the way I talk about things, it can make it sound like I wasn't really that excited about it, but just like it was big, and it was. I mean, I don't know, kind of like jump-started a bunch of other things, like just like other places started to notice me and started getting a bunch of conventions and stuff like the year after. But yeah, that was wild.
It's funny how all this hard work takes you to all these opportunities. Am I right?
Yeah, and it's like even with the like Adult Swim situation, there were like some things, like I said, like just like I told them like my mental health was not great. So there were, right. I mean, it could have definitely been more. It was almost like a dream come true situation, but like I had to realize like my mental health was not great that year. But with the pandemic, with the Black Lives Matter movement and everything like that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, completely. Yeah, but like I mean like, and so like I'm the kind of person who's just like, I mean like I guess I'm like once again just like sometimes I don't even sound like it, but I'm just kind of like not hopelessly optimistic, but just like, you know, just because one thing kind of doesn't really go a certain way, it doesn't mean like there's always different opportunities out there. And so like I'm always like hopeful and just like, you know, just there are a lot of things around the corner, as long as you just like, I mean, have that mindset that's just like I don't know, it's just like it's just strange.
But I think one thing we can all agree within this interview is I think you improved a lot of your fans' mental health when they see your artwork, when they see that representation of them, like that story that Brian said of that girl crying when they saw that art piece and everything. Like you helped her feel better about herself mentally. I think that's the true reward for you.
Yeah, I like, that's one of the things. I mean, like, money's great, money's necessary.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. We got to
that like hits me like a whole nother way. I'm just like, ooh, okay, so I'm out here not doing it just for myself. So it's, well, let's just say now we're out here not doing it just for ourselves. Right. And God, I love it.
What character?
There was a little girl that spent all the money that I don't know if it was her allowance or her con money or what it was. She spent everything she had at our booth this past weekend. The whole family. Dad was into the stuff too, whatever, but the little girl was so enthusiastic. Like, actually, if you go on the Art by Quinton Instagram, I made a post just about them. Because literally after the third time they were at the table where she came back,
third time,
like, my money, I'll spend it where I want to spend it. And she was like, buying more and more stuff. And after they left, I took a picture of them in front of the booth. And then I told this guy, I said, I gotta, somebody's cutting onions. I'm gonna go take a walk and I'll be back. Because it was like, if I had a moment where I wish I had kids to share that love like the way Dad did with them. Right. And just that girl's enthusiasm for his art. Like, I mean, as she was turning pages, she was jumping up and down and like pointing at stuff like, oh my God, this Bulbasaur. Oh my gosh, this, going nuts. And it's like, we can be sitting there having a terrible convention where we're not really making a lot of money. Right. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of stress, what have you. And somebody like that comes over to the booth and it makes you feel a lot better, at least about your day. It changes the whole vibe. It picks us up when we're exhausted after our second energy drink or a cup of coffee and just fading. So it means a lot.
Yeah, those conversations will definitely just replenish every electrolyte. Yeah. I would have just like put them all. I'm just like, okay, I'm energized now. We could finish up the convention.
I'm energized too on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ BlueZ is in the building. This is behind the brand. Quinton, what characters have you not touched with the pen?
Okay. That's a dangerous question because there are so many. Oh my! There's so
what
many
characters do you want to touch with the pen? That's the one.
Things that I've been snacking, the things that like I've been having to turn in my black card for not having. It's just like I have a couple of Miles Morales pieces just like that I have.
Oh, nice.
I have nothing at the booth, and you should see like just like my face. And so I was like, "Oh, do you have anything Miles Morales?" And I'm just like, all right, so let me tell you what's coming.
What happened was
it's like that and Black Panther pieces. I mean, like I have like the Okoye, but because I tell you, I have like 300 something pieces that are like working in progress or Black Panther pieces, but just like there's so many things coming out all the time, trying to touch it all. And it's just like I usually like to like keep things to I know there are a bunch of artists who just kind of draw things because they know are popular. I like drawing things that like are like popular as well, but also something that I've seen, because not only just like when do you get like the prints when you come up to the booth, but you get a little bit of a conversation also. I like I know that like everyone likes talking about things they like. I like talking about things I like too. And so sometimes I can even work to my like detriment where like I'm at a booth trying to sell things and I'll forget I'm like selling something. I'm like, oh crap, I had a 20-minute conversation about how I need to get caught up on bleach. Just, I don't know, just there are, God, way too many characters that haven't touched with the pen. A shameful amount of characters that haven't touched with the pen, but I mean, hopefully that's going to change.
Easy, fingers up. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, see, now I want to ask the reverse of that question. Is there any character out there you won't touch because you feel like it's just untouchable? Like, I will never cover a Queen song because Freddie Mercury is just there and I will never be there. Is this the same type of character?
I mean, Not the. I mean, I'm not saying there isn't. I mean, I just like off the top of my head, I don't really like know off the top of my head. I mean, like hell. I mean, I drew Hisoka.
It's a place.
I drew Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter. If I could draw that like that ridiculous of a character, I mean, like, I don't see how there's anything I wouldn't be able to touch as long as I'm familiar with it. But I mean, hey, there's a lot out there that I don't know, and I can't really say I can't really say anything definitively.
That's awesome.
It's my safe answer to that.
That was a very good answer. It checked all the boxes necessary. We appreciate it. Thank you for playing Celebrity Jeopardy.
Have you ever even had the idea of thinking about graffiti? You know, because graffiti is a great art form, like a canvas, like on like a city building. Like, is that like part of a plan of foreseeable future, since you're doing all this like great artwork and showing it in Chicago and all these like big cities for like different conventions and stuff like that? Have you ever thought of just expanding your brand and just like putting on like a wall piece or something, like something monumental? Is that like the top goal? Go ahead.
Actually, I'm already kind of, well, okay. Graffiti is something I delved in like heavily, just like after just like high school. I mean, like not so much like done, but just like I was like really interested in it. Like I have no constraints when it comes to like anything. Like I started like just like the like whole like fan art, digital fan art, that started in 2017 when I got my first iPad and I could draw things like digitally. And I had the wonderful addition of the back button, so it won't really just like be messing things up. But like I mean, like it's kind of coming like a weird circle where like I started off drawing like animated things and like nerdy things, and then as like my art evolved, you know, like I do oil painting, watercolor, just like I've had stuff in galleries, and so just like I still do have a bunch of those. In fact, I have a bunch of large canvases that I need to paint on eventually. But now like I'm making, you know, money doing like just like fan art and Dragon Ball Z again. So it just went. I mean, I guess it, a little bit had to do with the fact that, you know, as everyone doesn't like in high school, like art classes when like the art teacher's like, oh, anime is not art. And I'm just like, well, I mean, sorry to tell you, it is. But I don't know, just like it's like I did do one mural in my hometown of Peoria, Illinois, although I'm not excited about it now. You know, when you like get a little bit older, you see your old stuff and you're just like, ooh, that looks trash. So I mean, like, I definitely see myself like in the future, like doing like 1 or 2 murals. Like just like I love the idea of having something on like a big building. just like, you know, just stop by and like just like painted that huge thing on a building, or just like, I don't know. I have a lot of stuff that I like, a lot of different like types of art that I like and like to do, and I don't know.
Besides the anime and the great TV shows and the cartoons that you love and that you put out to the fans, what other artists that you see at different conventions that have inspired you to be a better worker, a better performer when it comes to your artwork?
There are. My answers are kind of bad because they're kind of like really general, because a lot of the conventions are blended together, and I'm seeing so much stuff that I love. Because like that's why I kind of sometimes I don't want to walk around at a convention, because I just like I know I'm gonna get ideas when I walk around. Like I do this and like I'll like want to try someone else's style out, because like I love trying out different things to see what I like, or like trying or like mixing like different styles like in with my own. Just like God, I know what was it? Iron Pinky's a big inspiration for me. Just like in like the complicated stuff that he does with his digital art. God, who else? Because I know I have a bunch of conversations with Brian about it. Do you remember off the top of your head anybody that like stood out? What was it? Quirkalicious. I think his name is Drake, but his artist name is Quirkalicious. Like to the point where like, because we're going around to so many conventions, all these people are starting to become like coworkers, which is very interesting. And I did not see that coming at all.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, those are the 2 names that come off the top of my head. As for like inspiration for like, you know, like future artwork and stuff like that, but the list is literally endless, and I'm really bad with these questions because I have so many in
First
my
of all,
head.
you're
That's
killing
not a
it.
bad answer, though.
You're
That's
killing
not
it
a bad
because you're
answer.
honest.
That's what we want is his honesty. Easy's absolutely right. Go ahead, brother. Okay, but I'll pick it up. I was passing the ball to you. Then we'll
Oh,
just
word.
alley-oop
Well,
again.
no, because
It's
then I got it.
okay.
Hold on. Shake and jive. It's fine.
Brother.
It wasn't so much of a miss pass. It was behind the back. No one saw it coming. It's fine. You know. No, that's the most beautiful thing about it is there is this incredible, and like even you guys like in the frame together, and there's this incredible energy between the two of you. There's this like so much respect, and like you both do complement the other side of that coin. And I love where you guys are going with, you know, first of all, what you're doing with, you know, Art by Quinton, but also stepping up into this new aspect, you know, as you continue to grow and as you continue to push, you know, what is that advice for that kid sitting in the back of math class right now, bored out of his skull because he doesn't care about X, nor does he care about Y, and he doesn't understand how it equals C, you know, but he wants to draw, or she wants to draw, or they are looking to draw right now. You know, one of my favorite writers, directors in the world is Kevin Smith, you know, and he has stated a million times, a million love letters to the creative. The only thing that is original is your point of view, you know. So what advice do you have for that next generation, you know, that kid sitting in the back of the classroom thinking about it?
Do you want to go first?
I mean, just from what I went through, I would say, you know, if you hit a bump in the road or you get an opportunity and the opportunity doesn't fit in your, and don't let, whether it be your parents, your friends, whomever, don't let them discourage you from continuing down that road. If you have ideas in your head and you have things you want to draw or things you want to write, and you like it enough that you want to see it come to fruition, you need to stick with it. Don't let anybody, you know, put you down, because like you said about like what Kevin Smith said, you know, it's art and things that, you know, like any type of creative stuff, it's always needed. It's an escape for reality for so many other people, and all these big things you see in Hollywood now, a lot of these, you know, the movies, a lot of it's driven by these comic book movies and these fantasy movies and everything. And those started from an idea from somebody somewhere. And who's to say that that next big idea isn't yours? Because somebody might see that idea and they might want to make it something much, much bigger. So if you've got dreams, definitely stick with them and don't let them get diverted from one bad experience or the wrong person standing in your way or telling you that you're never going to be anything, because they don't know.
Sure.
Well, we all have dreams, and I honestly wish my dream for right now is that we had another 4 hours to continue this. But right now, the Apollo curtain is starting to be pulled on us. The producers are throwing the red flag. I'm about to get hit in the face with a flare if we don't wrap it up. We want to give you guys the last couple of seconds just so people can get in touch with you. How can they find you? What are your social medias? Please don't give out your telephone number on this thing unless you really want it to happen.
Oh, you sure? All the telemark.
But my social security.
Yes, your social security number. Also, there's $1 million check from the Prince of Nigeria. I just need $1,000 in gift card from Walmart. So if we can make that happen.
Well, yeah, you can hit us on Art by Quinton on Instagram, also on Twitter. We got to get a little more active on Twitter, but
You do.
and also my accounts are that's THE, Chase Danger, CHASEDANGER on pretty much everything. TikTok, which he talked me into doing, Instagram and Twitter. And then, of course, we are launching Non-Toxic Nerd Culture, and that account is already up on Instagram. Hopefully, soon it'll have a bunch of posts on it. They tried Instagram, for whatever reason, tried to shut it down when I first put it up, like it was a fake account when I didn't even post anything yet. I don't understand why, but It's up now, and we're going to start posting from there as well. And then, of course, the website, our web store is a Linktree site. So it's linktr.ee/art by Quinton. And you can get all his stuff up on that site right now. And you can DM us if you want to be on the mailing list for any of our new drops. We do pre-orders for our t-shirts, hoodies, coming out, limited collector's pin list. We do send you coupons. We do little puzzles and contests in those emails, and we don't send a bunch of spam.
We got a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Awesome.
Great to hear. Guys, thank you so
I
much
guess
for being
that's,
part of the show. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
what Brian said.
Oh my goodness.
Whoo!
I apologize. But we got to wrap it up. I'm very sorry. Thank you guys for being a part of the program. We really do appreciate you, Quinton, Brian. This has been Behind the Brand, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ Blues on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, New Haven.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know.